Hello.
Hi, Alana. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Your neighbor was able to help you? I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. So today I have the recording on because somehow I forgot to do the recording last time. So, hi, Lele. Hi, Alana. So we're working on chapter 6 today about credit card use. And I'm going to give you some notes to take down that'll help you when you do the Mind Tap 6. Okay? So first of all, I want to say that um, when you want to get a credit card, there's a couple of things you should do. And the first step in getting a credit card is I'm going to type it in the chat box. Number one is you want to open a checking and savings account. That's going to be the first thing because you want to put your self on the map. Right now, you're not on the map, so you have to put yourself on the map. The second thing is you want to use credit. So you might get one credit card, maybe a gasoline credit card like Wawa. So you might, charge the gasoline and then pay that bill on time, maybe a couple of days ahead of time. And then if you really need to, like you're buying a house, you might obtain a small loan. When you buy a house, you want to show that you can um, be able to handle a loan. But steps 1 and 2 are a good start. Open a checking and savings account and then use a credit card. So that's a good way to go. So
So these are the steps. These are the steps to using a credit card.
the steps to using a credit card, this is the steps to obtaining credit.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
the question. So obtaining credit. Is that you, Alana, that just asked that question?
Yes.
Okay. I can't see you. Can you put your video on or you don't want to?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So some of the things you want to avoid when you have a credit card, avoid doing, avoid using your credit card. Some of the things are to meet basic living expenses, to make impulse purchases, or to purchase short-lived goods, like maybe a night out at an expensive restaurant. So these are the things you want to avoid. You would want to use a credit card maybe to buy a computer. That's something that's going to last you 5 years. It'll last you longer than what it takes to pay off the credit card debt. So that's a different story. So let me read you a scenario. So Antonio has a checkbook and it's overdrawn. Does anybody know what it means to have an overdrawn checkbook? What does that mean?
Basically, you've taken out more than what you have.
Very good, Lele. So if he doesn't pay his gas bill, if he doesn't pay Duke Energy tomorrow, they're going to turn off his electric bill. So he needs to heat his house. Well, if he's in Florida, that's not the case. But let's say he needs the electricity to run his computer, and he uses his credit card to pay his gas bill. So this is an example of Antonio using his credit to meet basic living expenses. To meet basic living expenses. Because you're going to be asked this on one of the Mind Tap things, that's why I repeat it. Here's another scenario. Caroline, she has lunch or dinner at a nice restaurant, which is something I love to do. But I haven't done it since COVID, and I've saved so much money. And she uses her credit card to pay for the meal and the tip. Caroline is using her credit. Is she using her credit to meet basic living expenses? Is she using it for an impulse purchase? Or is she purchasing a short-lived good or service? Good or service?
A short-lived good.
Yep. So that's the correct answer. So I'm just going to put dining, this way you have it. And for those of those who are not here, dining at a restaurant is purchasing, dining at a restaurant with a credit card is purchasing a non-durable, they call it, short-lived good or service. In this case, it's a service. Well, and the goods are the food. All right, so now we have another scenario. Dimitri had a great date last night with Lele. I'm just teasing. And he uses his credit card to buy her a diamond-studded watch. And he wants to give it to her tonight on their date, their second date. Dimitri is using his credit to do what in this case? To avoid, to meet basic living expenses, to make impulse purchase, or short-lived goods?
Short-lived goods.
I would say an impulse purchase.
It's an impulse purchase because he had his date. He didn't plan on this purchase, and he wants to impress the girl. So he's running out and buying something way too expensive for a second date. So that is an impulse purchase. Very good. Very good. So let's see. It's easy to use credit cards. I'm guilty of it myself. You go to the store, it's just a simple swipe, and that's it. And it's very easy to forget until that bill comes in the mail. Okay, so now there's a rule of thumb, they call it, and I'm going to type it in the chat box. I got my nails done and now I can't type. They're too long. I'm almost done. I know it's a lot. Okay, so the rule of thumb is, for protection against getting into credit card trouble, except for occasional use for convenience, credit card purchases should outlive the payments. So if I buy a computer, chances are I'm going to pay off that computer and still be using that computer like I am right now. But if I go out and buy a dinner, that dinner is over in one night and I'm still paying the bill. Or at Christmas time, people go out and buy all these presents and they give all these presents away, and then they're left with these bills to pay for the next 4 months or so. So that's the rule of thumb when you're using the credit card. There is something in the chapter, I'm going to type it in the box, and I want to ask either one of you if you know this ratio. If not, I'm going to tell you what it is. It starts out called a debt safety ratio. And there's two numbers involved that you have to put together to come up with the percentage. And the reason for this debt safety ratio is how much credit can you stand? How much credit can you stand? Does anybody know what that equation consists of? Do you both have your books with you? You both have your books with you or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to grab it really quick.
Oh, go ahead. Don't be quick. We'll wait for you. Because I'm trying to find what page it's on, and I'm going to tell you what page that equation's on. It's on page 148.
Got it.
Okay, good. So it's on page 148, Lele and Alana. Could one of you please read to me what the equation is? It's on the top of page 148 on the right-hand side.
The debt safety ratio is equal to total monthly consumer credit payments over monthly take-home pay.
Very good. Monthly take-home pay. Notice not gross pay. It's take-home pay, which means your net salary. So they're saying in the book that if this number is more than 20%, you have to be careful. If it's 20% under, you're good. You're good. All right, so let's say you have $400 worth of debt and you take home $4,000. What does that equal? 400 divided by, let me do another share, just bear with me. So 400 divided by 4,000 equals, this is an Excel spreadsheet that I'm using. So that I'm turning into a percentage. Notice I just click on percent, 10%. So I'm below the 20%. So that's good. I'm in good shape with it. I take home $4,000 monthly, and my debt is 400. So I'm in good shape with that. All right, let me go back. I'm looking for the chat room again. All right, so that's 10%. So that would be okay. So let's do a scenario. So Kenji, you might have to write these numbers down, or I could put them in the chat box. Oh, actually, I could put them here. Now that I have my Excel sheet up. So this person, Kenji, a very unusual name, he wants to
You
determine.
can't see the Excel sheet. We're looking at the personal finance Word document.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me reshare that. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Do you see it now?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. So Kenji, let me get rid of all this so you don't have any distractions. So Kenji wants to determine what his debt ratio is, and just to see if he's able to maybe get, borrow more money or maybe not. So he has an auto loan, he's got a student loan, he's got credit cards, he has a house mortgage. Keep spelling mortgage wrong, and I spelled it wrong again. It's only one A. And that's it. So he has all those things. I'm just going to put a row in here, because guess what? When you're figuring out the debt, what is it called again? The debt safety ratio. You do not include the mortgage. You do not include the mortgage. That you would leave out. So his auto is $315. He has $45 for the student loan and $90 and $1,400 for the mortgage. So let me just turn this into dollars so you can see. So we're just going to total everything but the home mortgage. I'm looking on page 148. I'm trying to see where it says to leave the mortgage out. I think it says somewhere on there in the book that you should leave out the mortgage payment. All right. So we're going to add up the other bills that he pays, and that's $450. Does everybody see that? You all see that? Okay.
Yes.
So now I want you to take this credit card payment, the consumer credit card payment that we just determined, and divide it by his take-home pay. I'm going to give you that. Credit card payment, is this called? Credit card payments. I'm so sorry. So let's see what his take-home pay. His take-home pay, I'm going to type it here. Is $4,500. Okay, so these two numbers have to be utilized to come up with his debt safety ratio. So I want you to compute that and type it in the box. Both of you, please. Good job. Good job. You both got 10%? Thumbs up for you. Good job. So he's good. He's in a good place at that spot. So the total monthly loan payments figure Kenji will use when computing his safety debt is 450 divided by 4,500 and does not, I'm going to type that in the thing because you're going to see that in your problem. You're going to have to put in does not include mortgage payment. Because then it would be totally different if we did that. What would it be? It would be 1850 over 4,500. That would be a whole nother, that would be 41%. He'd be he would be over the safety thing. So forget this one. Let me just put a strike through so you know. Okay. Oh, it didn't work. Let's try it again. Too fast. Strike through.
You were asking where it said in the book to exclude the monthly mortgage obligation.
Where do you see it, Layla?
I see it at the bottom of the paragraph that is titled "How much credit can you handle?"
Oh, very good, Layla. Thank you.
Page 148.
Thank you so much. Let me highlight that. That's excellent. That's good. Let me just highlight that. Good. All right, that's important. All right, so then Kenji's debt safety ratio is 10% and considered, this is what they call it, a safe low debt. In his case, the 10% is a safe low debt. That's the answer. Safe low debt at 10%. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So here are the classifications. I'm going to put them over here. So 10% is considered a safe low debt. 15% is considered safe manageable debt. And 20% is considered safe maximum debt. In other words, don't go higher than this. And this is what the banks will look at when you're trying to get a home loan. They're going to see. Okay, so here's what I just talked about. Let me just highlight this. Okay. Kenji's debt, still talking about Kenji. Kenji's debt ratio changed to 5%. So now Kenji, somehow he changed to 5%. I don't know, maybe he paid off some debt. I don't know what happened. So now he's 5%, which is really low. His take-home pay must have either increased or his monthly loan payments decreased. So let's see. Either his take-home increased or loan or credit payments decreased. So let's see how that would work. Let's test it out. So he had 450 over 4,500. And we said that equals 10%. So let's just say if let's make this 10%. Let's just say his take home increased to 5,000. So look, it went down. Let's just say his loan decreased to say 300. I mean, his credit card payments. Let's make it 200. No, too little. 250. So notice, yeah, so he has 5%. So either this increased and this decreased, or they both, something happened, but that's the answer to the question. His debt safety ratio went down because either his take-home pay increased or his credit payments decreased, or both happened. Lenders may be more willing, to give him a loan than they were before this change. So how can we periodically compute one's safety debt ratio to be useful? How can it be useful? So here are the 3 ways it could be useful. I'm going to read it to you and then I'll type it in the chat box. It can serve as an early warning system of approaching financial trouble, providing time to take preventative measures. 2, it can influence decisions about looking for higher or lower paying job. 3, it can influence decisions whether to return to school if a loan will be needed to pay for it. So those are the 3 choices, and those are all viable reasons. So, because this is in your assignment. It can, early warning, I'm just going to put the key words. Early warning, influence a decision about higher paying job, and influence decision of whether to go back to school with loan.
And those 3 are the debt safety ratio, like the reason for debt safety ratio?
They're just some examples, Alana. They're not all inclusive. They're just examples. There could be many more, but in this case, this is just some of the examples that apply, but there could be many more. But in this case, this is what they gave us these choices, and it turns out all of them apply. But there could be many. This is not all inclusive. Debt safety ratios that increase are caused by lower take-home pay, higher monthly loan payments, or both, which we saw when we did this here in blue. Debt safety ratios can decrease by higher take-home pay and lower. So if you don't know the answer, you could just take a couple of numbers and experiment. Like, oh, I don't know the answer. Well, put some numbers in there and plug them in and see what happens, and then you will know the answer. It's almost like you run your own little experiment. In general, the higher one's debt safety ratio, the more one probably struggles to meet loan payment obligations, as well as other expenses, and the less likely lenders will be to extend additional credit. Okay, so now we're going to talk about something else. We'll talk about something else. I think I used this once or twice in my entire life because it's expensive and it's not something I want to get in the habit of doing. It's called a cash advance. It's a loan that you can get from the bank. Usually you have a card, like you might have a Chase debit card, and they say to you, you can get a cash advance on that card. You know, they talk about it like it's such a good thing. Not a good thing, but in the case of an emergency, it can be a good thing. I had this bill that was due, and I didn't have enough money in the checking account, so I had to get the cash advance because otherwise they were going to cancel my insurance. So that was a case where I had to do it, even though I knew it was a costly way to go. So a cash advance is a loan, and it immediately puts cash in one's pocket, either by using the card. So what I did is I had my credit card. I called up Chase on the phone, the number's on the back of the card, and I said, I need a cash advance. I told them how much. Of course, I have a checking account with them, so I told them to put the money in my checking account. So that's how it happened. That's how I did it, over the phone. You could probably go in the bank and do it. So now, Lucia parked outside her bank and needs cash today. Her standard checking and account balance is sufficient to provide the cash. She has enough money in her account to get cash out of the machine. She plans to deposit the paycheck and she'll receive in a few days to a checking account. Lucia also has a credit card whose terms allow her to obtain a cash advance. What would be the wisest way for Lucia to get the cash she needs today? 1, she can withdraw the cash from her checking account. 2, she can take a cash advance on her credit card. Or 3, whichever way is quicker. You can type your answer in the box if you want.
Probably the second option,
Which is, Alana?
the cash advance.
What did they say in the problem? Could you read what I put in the chat box?
Oh, she has enough money in her checking account. So just the first option.
Yeah.
All right, Lele, good. She was just being, I mean, I don't know, whatever her reasons. Maybe she didn't feel like making out a check. I don't know, whatever her reasons were. Maybe she felt this was quick. I got the card, 1, 2, 3. But she's better off just taking out of her checking account. They also tried to throw you off saying that she was depositing her check today, but they told you that she still had enough cash even before her payroll check cleared the bank. Another thing you could do when you work for somebody, whoever it is, hopefully a big company, they will directly deposit your check into the bank, so you don't have to wait for it to clear. Why? Okay, so why was that the wisest way to get the cash? That was the wisest. That was a wise choice. I'm just going to read you the answer. First of all, there is no interest charged when she takes her own money out of her checking account, but she would be charged interest beginning immediately if she took the cash advance. There is interest. Okay, so that was the answer. And sometimes, not only do they charge you interest, sometimes they'll charge you a transaction fee of like $10 just to get that cash advance. So that would be an expensive proposition to go that way. All right, let's see what it says here. Many bank credit card issuers charge a transaction fee for non-ATM cash advances, which is what I told you. Lucia has a bank credit card. If she takes a non-ATM cash advance, which is this cash advance we were talking about, the bank will charge her 2% of the amount of the advance, or a flat fee of $5. So if she wanted $200, let's say, let me just get rid of all of this for now. So if she wanted $200, let me just put 200 in here. They said that it would be 2% of that. So 2% times 200 equals how much? Let's times it out on my Excel spreadsheet. So it's, oops, something like that. Okay, so times, let's do it again. Let me get rid of the question mark. Okay, so that would be $4, but do you notice what they told us? They said there would be a flat fee of $5. So even though it's only $4, they would still charge her the $5 because there's a minimum of $5. So they're asking the question, what is her transaction fee? So is it $4 or is it $5? Type it in the box, Alana and Lele.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it one more time? My cat jumped up on the desk.
Okay. So the minimum, okay, so if there is a flat fee of $5, let me just type that, flat fee, and she wants to take out $200. This is, what was her name, Lucia. and they said it could either be, it's either or, 2% of what she wants to take out or $5 flat fee. So what would the fee be? Whichever is more.
So then the flat fee.
Okay, yes. Whichever is more, very good. So then it would be $5. So that would be your answer. What if she took out $600 and the fee was $12? What would be her fee now? Alana, do you know what her fee would be now if she took out $600?
Well, I've just been writing it in the chat.
Okay, well, look up at the screen. What do you see? If she borrowed $600 and they charge 2% or $12 and the flat fee is $5, which one is more?
The $5.
$5 is more than $12?
Well, I said $12 at first, and then you asked me again, so I figured it was wrong.
No, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you the first time. Just, what's your answer, Alana?
The $12.
Good job. Okay. So now, this week, Lucia is out of town, and her access to cash advances only by non-ATM methods. For each non-ATM cash advance she takes, she will be charged 2% or a flat fee of $5, whichever is more. So what she did, let's just clear all this so we can start over. Let me get rid of the colors so it doesn't confuse everybody. Okay, so 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes you, okay, let me, I don't know where those, let me get rid of all that. Sometimes you have to kind of make a schematic so you could see the picture. So she went, maybe she was driving to go see her parents and she was on the road. So she took 4, not 5, I take that back. She took 4 advances and they were each $50, 50, 50, 50, 50, all right? And so 2% times 50 is, you don't have to use Excel, you could use your calculator, but I like Excel. So this would be $1, $1, $1, $1. However, remember the flat fee is more, so they're going to go with the flat fee, right? Let's see how this works out. What would be the transaction fee based on percentage for each cash advance? So it would be $1. That's what it would be. 2% times $50 is $1. What would be the minimum transaction fee for each cash advance based on their rules? What would be the minimum charge that she would get for each one of those transactions?
The 5.
Yes, the 5. Which transaction fee will be charged for each of Lucia's advances? You answered that, Lele, it's 5. What would be the total transaction fees for the week, Alana, based on that scenario they gave us?
20?
Yeah, $20. She would have taken out $200 and she would have been charged $20 to do that. So then they go on to say, what if she just took 1 cash advance? What if she just took out the $200 just 1 time? What would her charge be then? Instead of taking 50 and 50 and 50 and 50 and getting charged 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, what if she just said, let me take out the 200 all at one time? What would she get charged? It's either $4 or $5. What's the minimum charge? 5. So if she was only going to get charged 5 versus the 20 she would have gotten, how much money did she save? How much money did she save by taking it all out at once?
Just 15.
Yeah, but 15, that's a lunch. That could be her lunch. Very good. So that's how that goes. It looks complicated. It's in your, you'll see that in your homework, but in your assignment, but It's really not as hard as long as you know, kind of type it out, you know? Okay, so here's the next thing we're going to talk about. I'm going to type in the box. We're going to talk about debit cards. So what is a debit card? Let's see. So a debit card is not like a credit card. It looks like a credit card. Mine actually has a Mickey Mouse picture on it. And it provides direct access to your checking account. So when I go to, say I go to Publix and I want to buy some food, I'll pull out my debit card and I'll use that to buy the groceries. It's like I'm taking it right out of my checking account without having to go to the bank and get the money out, then go to Publix and pay the cash. It comes right out of my checking. The one thing I do, and it's up to you, I never put my PIN in. I always treat it like a credit card. I just don't feel safe in putting my PIN number unless I'm at the bank. So a debit card provides direct access to your checking account.
I have a question.
Yes.
You have a choice not to put the PIN in?
Yeah, you do.
I did not know that.
Oh, I'm glad I'm telling you that because I just found that out. So what you do is you say, what button do I have to press if I don't have to put my debit in? Even in CVS, anywhere. They'll either have to make you press the green button, sometimes they make you press the red button, sometimes they make you press the yellow button. It all depends what store. So I think it's the green button at Publix. Yeah, you don't have to put the PIN in, and I wouldn't. Because you know how many times, you know, people's identities, you don't want to have that information in there. It's just too risky. So consider the following example. Gilberto had decided to conduct his financial business as much as a cash basis as possible. You know, he wants to pay everything cash. He doesn't want to use a credit card. He always has his checkbook with him, with the little ledger. You ever see those ledgers? We learned that in the last, I think in lesson 3, I think it was, or 4. And he keeps records. In other words, when he uses the checkbook or debit card at Publix, he'll write that in right away. And he writes his weekly pay-in. He puts everything so he knows what's in the checking account. You can look on his phone too. Sometimes you're in a hurry. Would you recommend that Gilberto use his debit card if he keeps good records? Yes or no? Because if he didn't keep good records and he didn't have enough money in his checking account and he went to buy some groceries at Publix, you know what would happen? His checks would start bouncing. The charge card wouldn't work. It would just cause problems if he used the card when there wasn't enough money in the checking account. So he does keep track of his balance. He does write everything down. Would you recommend Gilbert to use a debit card? Yes or no?
Not if he can keep a good record.
He does. He does keep a good record.
Right.
So it would be okay for him to use it because he would know if he has enough money to use the card. They're saying a debit card is not a credit card. A credit card, it doesn't matter if you use a credit card because it's not coming directly out of your checking account. If they're going to send you a statement at the end of the month saying you have all these charges and you owe this balance. But when you use your debit card, you're taking money out of your checking account directly. That's what you're doing. That's the difference between a debit card and a credit card. So if you're somebody who takes very good care of your checkbook balance and you know, hey, I got $100 and my Publix bill is $90, I got enough money to put it on my debit card, although $10 is not a lot of wiggle room. All right, so now the next thing they talk about is called a revolving, I'm going to type it in the box, it's called a revolving line of credit. And this is where you use checks. They usually give you a checkbook with this revolving line of credit. And you can pay bills, you can purchase goods and services, or even take cash advances. The banks, brokerage houses, and other financial institutions offer open account credit to qualified borrowers. Okay. So that's a revolving credit line. It's still a loan. Don't be fooled. It's still a loan. Let's say they give you a loan for $15,000. They hand you a checkbook. They say, you have $15,000 in this checkbook. It's a loan. And then you can use it. The minute you start using that $15,000, you're going to get a statement in a month saying you owe so much, whatever you spent it on. So don't be fooled. So it's called a revolving line. It's revolving because you can keep using it. You pay it, then you use it. You pay it, then you sort of like go in a circle. Now there's another thing. They don't really do this anymore, but it was a nice thing when they did. It's called overdraft protection. It's called overdraft protection. I don't think they do it anymore, but when they did it, it was a nice feature. So this is with your checking account. This would be in connection with your checking account. So let's say you forgot to write something in that checkbook, and then you went to Publix and you bought that $90 worth of groceries. It turns out you didn't have enough money in your checking account because you forgot to write something. Well, when you have this overdraft protection, you don't have to be so concerned because this will add another $1,000 cushion. It's a loan, it's borrowing money. It'll allow, and is only for emergencies. So if you accidentally go over what's in your checkbook, it will pump in, say, $50 to cover you. It's called an overdraft protection. And then, of course, you will have to pay that back every month when they send you the statement. And there's probably a fee and interest.
Is it like an automatic loan?
Yeah, it automatic. The minute it's, yes, I don't think they do it anymore, but it's a wonderful thing to have. I think what happens is they just, Alana, are you gone? I think Alana's gone.
Yeah, she sent a message in the chat saying she had to go.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So yes, it's automatic. So in other words, the minute the checking account sees you're overdrawn, it'll send over whatever the amount of money. Usually send it in even amounts. In other words, if you're overdrawn by $49.88, it's going to send over $50. It's not going to send over $49.88. It's going to send over $50. If you're overdrawn $300.25, it's going to send over $320 maybe. So it's going to round it up. But it's a great thing to have, and I don't think they have it anymore. All right, so that's the overdraft protection. Now this one is important. I want to go over this one. This is called a home equity line of credit because it's in your homework, and I want you to know what they're talking about. It's called the home equity line of credit. So basically, you have money that you're paying off the mortgage on your home, but you've got some equity in that house. You've got a piece of that house you own because you paid a portion of it. You can use that equity in your home to borrow money. And most lenders will lend you either 75% or 80% of that equity. In the problems for this homework, they're using 80%, just so you know. So here's an example. Let's do this problem and see what they're talking about. So you have a home, Lele, that is worth $275,000. Okay, I put too many zeros. Get rid of the zero. All right. Are you in a big hurry to leave also?
No, I'm good.
I'm so glad to hear that because it's so much better when I don't have to pressure myself. All right, so because this is important, you'll be glad later when you go do the homework. So your house is worth $275,000. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just to make something clear, when it comes to a home, does it include land and home or just home?
Yeah, it's the whole thing. You can't have the home without the land, and you can't. They're kind of connected.
Okay.
You have some place to put the home on. So you're right. It's a good question, Lele. So the 275 includes the cost of the land as well.
Okay.
I don't know what percentage. Could be 50% of the land. I don't know. But let's just say you were right. In that 275 is the cost of the land. It's the whole package. So now they tell us that you owe your mortgage. In other words, you've paid off $200,000, but you still owe $75,000. This is your mortgage payable. This is what you owe. This is your liability on this home. And so the equity that you have to subtract what the home is worth and what you owe on the home to find out what your equity is. So your equity is 200,000. That's your equity. I'm just going to put your equity. This is the amount you can borrow on. So you don't have to sell your home to get this equity loan. That's important to know. Do not have to sell your home to get access to your equity. According to the lending institution, the maximum line of credit is 80% of your home worth. Okay? So according to the lender says, maximum loan is 80% times your home worth. And in that case, how much is that, Layla? What's the home worth? Oh, no, I'm just asking you the one number. It's 275.
Yeah.
What's the answer you got? Thank you for computing that. What's the answer you got?
I didn't get it yet, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Please, take your time. You don't have to, because I'm doing Excel. I don't know why I didn't think of this before.
It is 220,000.
Very good. Excellent. You are correct. So that's the lender, that's the maximum amount the lender will give you. Okay, that's the but they also have another thing that they do. What they do is they subtract whatever you owe on the mortgage, right? They subtract your mortgage, whatever you owe. Mortgage.
So then it's 145,000.
That's the answer. Good job out of you.
Calculators make it easy.
No, you still have to have the logic behind it. That's good. That's excellent. You did great. Because right away you want to take the 220 and you think that's the answer. No, it's like a two-step process with this. So you're right. Your lending institution will give you a credit line of $145,000 in that scenario. The line of credit is considered a loan that is secured with an additional mortgage on your home. It's like you have two mortgages on the home now. You got the original mortgage, and now you got this home equity. So it's like having two. That's why you hear adults talking about a wraparound mortgage. That's what I think they're talking about. They say a wraparound, meaning it's wrapped around the original mortgage. You have two. So it's not something you want to do unless people do this because maybe they want to put a new kitchen in. So they're going to borrow money to put in a new kitchen, which is going to increase the value of their house, which in effect will increase the equity. So that's their logic. I'm borrowing a home. I'm borrowing this money to put in a kitchen, but ultimately it's going to increase the value of my home. That's the logic they'll do. But that doesn't mean you can't go out and buy a car with the money. You can. Not a good idea though, because that's a you know, it's a depreciating asset. So
the credit line was originally meant for the home.
yeah, but you still can use it for other things. You should. Yes, you should use it to fix up the home. Let's say your roof is bad. You need a $30,000 roof. Who's going to come up with that money? So you use the equity in your home to go get an equity loan to fix the roof. But ultimately, it will hopefully increase the value of your home. So when you go to sell it, when you retire, then you'll get back that money, so to speak.
Okay.
So let's see. There are three major forms of credit and non-credit. They want to know, when is it a good idea to use it? Well, they are helpful in emergencies, and they do provide funds, but they are easy to spend unwisely. They provide funds that are easy to spend unwisely. So those are two choices. All right, let's see. Using overdraft protection, remember we talked about the checking account, and in case you go below your positive balance, requires self-discipline to use it only in emergencies. Remember, that the funds used for protection, overdraft protection, are a loan. As such, there is a fee attached to using the funds. Ask yourself if the accumulating fees are really worth your overdrafts, for many of which you may have forgotten the original use. So they're saying use it wisely. All right. So here's another thing I want to share with you. There are 5 C's. They talk about 5 C's when someone is trying to figure out or evaluate your credit worthiness. Your credit worthiness. And they are 1, 2, 3. They're going to ask you this question. So 5 C's. One of them are character. You have the character to be responsible to pay this loan back, the capacity to pay them in a timely manner. Do you have collateral? In some cases, you need collateral. And do you have the capital and condition? These are the 5 C's. They call it the 5 C's of credit. It's in your textbook, and I think it's on page 147.
It just makes it more memorable to write it down.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It is. To me, it's studying. When I write things down, it helps me. Here's some reasons why you might have been turned down for credit. 1, your application had false or misleading information. 2, you had an inaccurate credit report that reflects a poor credit history. And 3, your debt safety ratio was greater than 20%. Those are the reasons why you might have been turned down. Also, you might have a history of personal bankruptcy. That's another reason. It doesn't mean you can't turn yourself around. You can turn yourself around and reestablish your credit, but it takes time, and it takes doing the right thing for a long time. Also, if there's any credit fraud, you have to report it immediately to the lender that your card was either stolen. If you receive an email about a sales offer, never give them an account number with an email. If you can't find your card, cancel the card. If you call a major company to make a purchase, let's see, you can use your credit card if you know this company like Amazon.
Yeah.
I immediately question charges to my account that I don't recognize. So you should always reconcile your charge account. I destroy expired cards, and I keep my card in a safe place and resist temptation to record my account number, expiration date, and security code on a mobile device for convenience. So those are all the safekeeping kind of a thing. All right. So lastly, let's go over the upcoming quiz, and then we'll be done. So let's do a new share.
All right.
Gotta go.
You said that the safest maximum percentage for credit card utilization is 20%.
Well, the debt safety ratio. In other words, a lender will lend you money as long as you don't go over that amount. If you go to borrow a loan and you've already got 25% of a debt safety ratio, it's highly unlikely they'll give you more money.
Okay. One thing that I've always been told in my family is never to go above 30%.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what? That's fine. But the book is saying 20%, but 30%. Did they tell us 30%? No, they didn't. They're saying. Listen, you can listen to I'm not going to stop your family, but the book, you could tell you know what? Show your parents the book and tell them, see what they say. Share it with them. They'd probably be thrilled that you're learning this stuff.
Yeah, and they really are. I wanted to see if you knew why there was that difference.
I don't know, but maybe last time your parents looked at that ratio, it might have been 30%, and maybe they changed it for whatever reason because of the downturn in the economy. A lot happened. We had the 9/11. A lot of things could affect them readjusting that percentage. So ask your parents, when did you come up with that percentage? Because perhaps it was okay before 9/11 and the COVID and everything else. So now,
Right.
Yeah. but 30% is not terrible. That wasn't bad advice that your parents had. But show your parents, let them see it, because they'll be interested to know. I'm so happy that they're guiding you in such a good way. That's wonderful. I'm telling them that I'm happy to hear that your parents are doing that. Wonderful.
A lot of the things we've been talking about, I have information on it already. Like the whole debit card thing, I was aware of all of it already.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So let me see. I want to get out of this. This is not what I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at the. Bear with me. I closed it for a second, but I want to find it again.
Take your time.
I'm sorry. You know what happens? I got two screens, and sometimes I'm on this screen, sometimes I'm on that screen. This is it. I found it. All right. Thanks, Layla. All right. So let me put us over here. I like the two screens, but sometimes I get dizzy looking back and forth. So let me go to the beginning. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and don't be embarrassed if you don't know the answer. I'm just trying to quiz you, so when you get this quiz, you'll be knowing if it's right or wrong. I don't think I have it in front of me, but the FICO credit scoring system assigns points according to marital status, where you live, amounts owed, salary, or employment history. Let's see if I can find a page for this.
I feel like it would award points for all of those things.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. It's funny that you read my mind. You know what? How about if we just go in there and do the darn quiz? You know what I'm saying? And then we can find out if we're right or wrong right away. So let's go in there. Let's just do the quiz. I think that would be the best way to go. Because I did not put the answers. All right, let's see. Where is I'm looking for Pasco. I want to go here. I want to share screen. All right, so we're going right. Do you see the Bobcat? Did you see the Bobcat? Oh, good. I want to make sure you can see what I'm looking at. So let's go right into personal finance. I've been changing the quizzes so that you could see the answer right away. I don't know why it was the other way. I just think it's important that the student get immediate feedback so they know what the right answer is. I mean, I would want it that way. So let me just check and make sure that we get an answer right away. Let's see. We have to do the whole, we have to do the whole thing. See, it's not checked. All right, so let me check that. And then let me just save it. All right, and then I'll notify everybody. And let's go take a look at this quiz. I'm going to ask you, so you'll actually get 2 attempts. So this is your reward for coming to the meeting. So make a note, all right? So the FICO credit score system assigns points to, take an educated guess, the best answer.
I was thinking all of them.
Okay. Marital status, I'm single, so why would that matter? Where you live, employment history, salary. I would say it's between these two, employment history and salary. I don't know what page it's on, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I don't. Trying to see if I can see a quick answer. Let me grab my book. I have a book. Just think about it for a minute and you can type in a box. I'm just looking. I want to see if I wrote the answers down. I had this book I did last year. Let me see if I did it. I'm writing constantly. It's more work teaching online, believe it or not. Okay, so this is chapter 6. Let me see if I have it in here. I still want you to guess. Take what they call an educated guess.
Right. Although I have not read the chapter yet.
That's okay. That's okay. We know that, but see, it's okay because you're doing it on my quiz, so it doesn't matter what happens. So let's see. Are we on chapter? Did I pick the right quiz? Let me make sure I'm in 6. Yeah, I am in 6. So what are you gravitating more towards? Salary, employment history, amounts owed, where you live, marital status.
Oh, so it's not a check all that applies.
No,
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong. Let me see if I could. No, you have to pick one.
Okay. I would go with amounts owed.
Okay, because we were talking about that. That sounds like a good guess to me. I mean, a good choice. So, 2, which of the following is an improper use of credit? Buying a home, purchasing a big ticket item, spreading payments within a budget, buying a short-lived good, needing a financial emergency.
Purchasing a big ticket item.
That's a car. You can take a car loan. That's okay.
Oh, then buying a short-lived good.
Yep. Remember those 3 things we had at the front of the chat box?
So big ticket item usually refers to a car or a home?
Yes.
Okay.
Or I guess a fur coat, but that's very luxurious. If you're monthly, because you need a car to earn income. Sometimes you have to have a car to get from point A to point B. And realistically, you can't have a job without a car sometimes. So sometimes it's just a part of the making money equation. If your monthly before tax income is $2,000 and your monthly take home pay is $1,500, your maximum monthly consumer credit payment should not exceed. So you should do 20% times what?
20% times your take-home pay?
Yes, good job. They just took that ratio and kind of flipped it around. That's what they did.
300.
Good. I think very good, by the way. Okay, 4. A borrower has a high FICO score. Now, the higher the FICO score, the better. Like mine's 850. I'm proud of it. So, considering I went through Hurricane Sandy and lost my home and had to pay a mortgage on my house for 3 years that I didn't live in. So I kept my FICO score intact with that, and it wasn't easy, but I'm proud of it. If a borrower has a high FICO score, then there is a high chance of his or her loan getting approved, a high chance that a higher interest rate will be charged, no chance of his or her getting a loan approved, and minimal chance of getting a loan approved, a high chance of more collateral requirements. What do you think?
I'm thinking a higher chance of the loan getting approved.
Okay. And then let's see. A frequent flyer card, like I have my JetBlue card, so I can go see my sons in New York, can be aptly classified as, I just learned this today. I had no idea that it was called this. It's an unusual word.
Well, the only unusual word I'm seeing is affinity, so.
Yep, I think it's that one. But let me not influence you. I looked that up, and I'll tell you. I got the definition here. Because I said, what the heck is an affinity card? I had no idea. Let me see. I wrote it on this sheet here, but of course, I had to squeeze it in somewhere because I didn't have enough room. Let me see. Oh, here. Affinity card on page 152 at the bottom of the page. A standard bank credit card that combines features of a traditional bank credit card with an additional incentive such as rebates and airline mileage.
Well, airline mileage does contribute to frequent flyers, so there you go.
Yep. So I think you're right. So here comes 6. Which one of the following cards provide direct access to your checking account?
Debit.
Yeah, good job. We talked about that. 7. Credit offered in the form of blank is most common in department and clothing stores and other high volume outlets where customers are likely to make several purchases each month.
Retail charge cards?
Yeah. Okay. Chapter 7 of the Bankruptcy Code restores all the losses incurred by the borrower, results in the loss of all of one's assets, sells only the home of the borrower, eliminates most of the financial obligations of the borrower, requires the debtor to pay back the debt in the future.
I know nothing of the bankruptcy codes, so
It eliminates most of your financial obligations,
okay.
except for things like child support. and student loans. Those are the two exceptions. 9. Janie makes frequent small purchases and pays off total outstanding balance on a credit card every month. Which of the following features is most attractive to her when searching for a credit card provider? A low required minimum payment percentage, no annual fee, high over the limit fee, a high interest rate, no grace period.
Either no annual fee or a low required minimum payment percentage. I'd probably go with the first one.
She pays the whole credit card every month. She doesn't care about that.
Okay.
Well, she only buys little incidental. She does it for convenience, it sounds like. You have $9.26 balance on your credit card account. The minimum payment on your account is 2% of the latest balance, or $20. Which is greater? So what's 2% times 926?
18.52.
Oh, is it? 2% times 926?
Yep.
How much is it? 52?
18.52.
Okay, so $18.52. But they said that you have to pay the greater of that or $20. Which one is greater?
Then the $20.
Yeah, good.
So the minimum payment, $20.
Good job. Okay, so now here comes 11. We only got 5 more to go, and then we're done. Blank is a type of reporting agency that collects and sells credit information about individual borrowers.
Credit bureau?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And then 12. If you are expecting difficulties in making your payments, it is recommended that you transfer your debt to another creditor, talk to the creditors, file a legal complaint, declare bankruptcy, obtain more credit.
Transfer debt to another creditor?
That's like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Sorry?
That's like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Oh.
Believe it or not, it's talk to the creditors.
Okay.
Call them up and say, listen, I lost my job this month. I'm going to pay you, but I need it. Can you help me extend these payments? Believe it or not, they'll work with you. When I lost my house in Hurricane Sandy, I had to make these phone calls. Sheldon has a home valued at $108,000 with an outstanding mortgage of $70,000. Now you know this. You've done this. You're good. If the lender's willing to give them 80% equity loan on the market value of the house, how much can he borrow, Sheldon?
Okay. So up to 80%. What's the outstanding mortgage again?
$70,000.
I mean, like, what does it mean?
It means what he owes.
What I owe. Okay.
Subtract it. You got to subtract that after you do 80% times the value of the home. What was the 80% equal to?
What?
What was 80% of the home value equal to?
Home values.
I put it in the chat box. What was that equal to?
Oh, I messed it up.
I got to buy myself a decent calculator.
86,400.
Okay. Now you have to subtract the mortgage that's still outstanding, and what do you get?
16,400.
Okay, 14. Let's see. Any credit card purchase will effectively be an interest-free loan if you have a zero balance when the grace period begins, and you pay off the entire balance on or before the due date, pay a $5 fee or 3% of the amount charged, pay for the purchase within 6 months, make the minimum payment, receive a cash advance.
Make the minimum payment.
Pay off the entire balance. There's no interest. If you make a minimum payment, they don't.
Yeah.
That's something they discourage you from doing, making a minimum payment. They want you to, because then you'll be paying the debt forever. To establish, last one, Leila, good job out of you. To establish credit, you should first use credit extensively. You should never do that.
No.
A large loan from close relatives, that's not going to help put you on the map. Pay cash for all purchases. Again, that's not going to do anything. Open savings and checking account. Arrange for a small loan. What's the first thing you want to do?
You would want to open a savings and checkings account.
Yeah, exactly. And the second thing you want to do is use credit card. And third, obtain a small loan, but not from your family.
No.
No, because you want to put it on the map. Your family, you want to put it out there in the world so they could see that you paid the loan back.
Right. And if it's in family, then it's all under the table kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to. All right, so we got two wrong. So amounts of, good job. I was right. Very good. Buying a short-lived good, good. $300. A high chance of his or her loan getting approved at a high score. I was wrong. The one thing I got you to do, and I was wrong. I'm sorry, Lele.
That's okay.
It was a reward card, but I looked that up. I'm telling you. I looked that up, so I was misled with that. So I don't have an affinity card. So that's on page 152. You read that and you tell me if I didn't misread that. So that should be a reward card.
It says an affinity card is a standard bank credit card issued in conjunction with some charitable, political, or other nonprofit organization. And a reward credit card is a bank credit card that combines features of a traditional bank credit card with an additional incentive, such as rebates and airline mileage.
I read the wrong thing. Thank you. So it is a reward card. Thank you.
They are one on top of the other, so I misread as well.
Thank you. Which of the following card provides direct access to your checking account? It's a debit card. Very good. Retail charge cards for the credit card and department store. Eliminates most of the financial obligations of the borrower. Bankruptcy code. No annual fee. $20. Well, that's because this one didn't get graded. That's why we got that one wrong, because it has to be manually graded. Credit bureau, you were right. Talk to credit. And 16.4, you were right. Pay off the entire balance before the due date. And open savings and checking. So very good. Excellent. All right, Leila, I'm gonna just stop the recording and then.
Okay.
Just in case you want to ask me something.